Well, good afternoon, this is Houndog Steve wishing you a very pleasant afternoon, and here we are in the first week of August. Unbelievable, it's just amazing how the time is flying by, and I think part of this is retirement because I'm no longer counting the days. They really just, I wake up in the morning and I do what has to be done, and yeah, sometimes I don't even know what day it is. Anyways, it looks like we're moving into a very interesting phase of our situation, and but in the meantime work carries on in the garden here, so we'll take a little wander around, and then I want to give you a few little things that might make you a bit more hopeful about the situation. Okie dokie, here we go. So as you can see, my idea for the tomatoes is working out. They're climbing up their rope towards the eave there, and we have layers of tomatoes now growing on these plants. And I don't know if you recall, but I made a video a couple of years ago about tickling your tomatoes. Tomatoes are one of the self-pollinating plants, and so when you just run your fingers in those flowers, you help them to pollinate, and you just like that, you help them to pollinate, and you will get a bumper crop of tomatoes. So everything is coming on pretty strong. We've been doing some work in the garden. Lettuce is doing really well since I separated it out, and there you go, look, there's one of my little, get out of the shadow there, one of my little garden visitors. There are hundreds of these little toads all over the place, and they help keep the slugs down, which is a good thing. Peas, as you can see, are flowering like crazy, and they're coming on good. So I've had quite a few snow pea suppers. I just transplanted all of my second year onions. Most of those are going to seed, and I want to save those seeds. And of all of the things that you can transplant, probably your hardiest are the allium crops, the onions, garlics. You know, I dug them up carefully, there's no doubt about it, and I put them into a very wet bed, but this will not kill them. I dug over this half of the bed because the garlics are all out now, and I've replanted that in Swiss chard, and of course, as I say, I'm sort of pulling weeds as I see them, and trying not to let them go to seed. So here is the garlic I pulled out. It's not a huge crop, but I will at least have some for replanting and some for eating, and this is how you start building your base. You save the best ones, replant those seeds, and in a year or two you'll have more than enough garlic. This is going to be an interesting project, this tree. This tree has to come down. I was just noticing the other day how badly rotted it is underneath here. This is extremely dangerous. It looks like one branch has already fallen off there. The birds have been in it, the fungus is on it. This could easily snap under a heavy wind, especially with that weight of leaves on there. It's too bad, but the wood will get put to good use. There's about four cord of wood in that tree. It's a pretty big maple, all hardwood. Potatoes are flowering, and of course when they flower it means that they're forming potatoes underground. Too little sunlight here. This tree is a big cause of that. It really does darken everything down. But haven't got any squash yet, but the plants are certainly looking pretty good. Beans. One of the things with getting cow manure is pigweed. beans, carrots. They're doing really well. We've had some good rain. It's really helped everything out. Wonderful, wonderful rain. And I finally did get some kale to take. So that'll take about a week or so to 2 weeks to really start showing some life. Beets. Anyway, I'm eating lots of beet greens right now. Good girl, come on. Good girl. What a dog. Look at this beauty. So now you see what I mean. These berries are just about ready to turn. There's a couple of them have turned already, but look at them. Thousands. Over the next 2 weeks, this is going to be the most unbelievable source of vitamin C and tasty fruit. I'll be making some jam, no doubt. And oh yes, I'm going up to Mattawa this weekend, so I'm getting my camping gear all ready to go. And it's interesting there, that tent. I haven't had that tent out since the kids went camping. That must be 20 years ago. And I open it up, it's like brand spanking new. And I will be making a video of my little excursion. This is a friend. She is starting up a intentional community called Taralend, I think it is. I'll link the website in the description box below. And anyway, a friend of mine who is a friend of this woman, Lee, wants my help to put up a geodesic dome. And so I am going to be putting up a geodesic dome this weekend, which should be very interesting. And camping, Mattawa is about 200 kilometers north of here, so slightly different terrain. And yes, you'll notice there's something absent here, and that absent piece of equipment is the wood splitter. The carburetor fell off, one of the studs sheared, and it has been at the shop. It was fixed once, it came back, the carburetor was leaking. It's been back again. There's carburetor has been on order, but at least I got all of this blocked up, and you see even the larger pieces, those ends, it's starting to dry out, even blocked up like this. So and there is enough dead wood on this property. These outdoor furnaces can burn just about anything. And so, yeah, I'm not too worried, but it is getting awfully late in the day. Normally I would have all of this done, stacked, by May. But anyways, with these trees that have to come down this winter, I've seen this maple that I just showed you, and there's another maple a little further in the bush. But I will be getting an ATV and a bush buggy, which is like a kind of trailer that you can pull along. And I will be cutting up wood this winter. And yes, I will be more than prepared next winter. So I've tarped this wood here. This is old and punky. I don't know if there's any heat value in it, but it will burn. So I've tarped it, trying to dry it out a little bit. You know, you'll see this is not a regular wood stove. Okay, this when you get a bed of ashes in here, man, you get a bed of ashes. Okay, and you can burn just about anything in this wood stove. So anyway, I got this covered, and even through all that rain I've managed to keep this dry, so we should be okay. And once this is done, like I said, this chicken coop is going to get some serious attention, and we're getting chickens. Ooh yeah, we love chickens, chicken eggs and chicken meat. Okay, so why would you be hopeful about this situation? Because it seems very much like we're entering our darkest moments, that the plan is being pushed forward and that we're going to be carrying passports and all of that kind of stuff. However, you have to bear in mind the scale of this project. You have to step back a little bit and sort of look down on what is being attempted here. This is on a scale that is so massive, it is unbelievable, and there is really only about maybe, I don't know, I guess maybe 2 million, maybe 2.5 million people who are the real movers and shakers in all of this, and the rest are in a basically hierarchical command structure. They're basically yes people who will not speak up against authority and will blindly obey, and these are the people who are supposed to be implementing that plan. So now, I don't know how much contact you've had with councils or with government, but the more you come in contact with these people and the more you see the results of their work, you realize that this is incompetence at the highest level. It is hubris at the highest level, because if you try and add an alternate thought, even into things like constructing highways and this kind of stuff. I sat on committees to try and change details in a plan that has already been put together, and these engineers basically and all the staff just circle the wagons, and you can't get in. They will not change. And as Cliff High mentioned the other day, about the police, it seems like I'm going sideways here, but he was talking about the police and these combat uniforms that they wear at the demonstrations, and he said, yeah, those things are great, if you've got someone running at you with a baseball bat or this kind of stuff. However, you are incredibly clumsy. He was suggesting that you smear mayonnaise on their masks because they have no wiping surfaces on their hands, and so what appears to be an unbeatable strength is actually has some incredible weaknesses. And that's the same thing with this situation. If there is any problems go wrong in the implementation of the plan, you are leaving it to people who don't know how to think outside of the command structure. So your plan is going to fall apart. And there are many parts of this plan that have not been filled in, they've only been sketched in. So the chances of this thing being successful, you already see the chaos out there. And as much as people say that, oh, well, that's what they want, is they want the world to fall apart. Well, only partially. Okay, they want a kind of controlled chaos out there. And society it's such a complex and fragile thing. You don't know what you're playing with when you've pulled that pin. Who knows what threads that is going to pull undone. And so they wanted to implement a kind of controlled chaos so that they can then implement their control grid onto the population, and it simply isn't working. On the inside, look, there's guys like and gals like Edward Snowden who don't agree with this either, and they're on the inside. They realize they can't say anything, but they are working against the system, and it's the system that's the problem. It's the system that will not change. So there is really good reasons to be hopeful. The other thing is that most people have been protesting or trying to get serious change going for a long time. One of the things that we have not been successful at is basically throwing the cards in the air in the game. And to create their controlled chaos, that's what the globalists have had to do. They've now thrown up all of the cards in the air, and we should be thankful for that, because this gives us as much an opportunity to organize alternate communities, an alternate society, ignore what's going on and focus on the way that you want to move forward. Focus on the kind of society that you want to live in and start creating that. Just like we're creating this community here, my friend's creating a community up in Marawa. There's another one over in Elliott Lake that I know of, Berries Green. They are all over the place. There are these now little alternate communities springing up, and the whole system, like I say, it's so glued together. You can't just pull one thread and not undo the whole damn thing. So we should actually be rejoicing. Our biggest difficulty is going through the next 2, 3, 4 or 5 months. Probably this coming winter, I would say, I would say probably 9 months. The next 9 months are going to be tedious, difficult, and they're going to be scary because the globalists realize their plan is not unfolding as it should do. You can see with the inoculations. Trust me, if you have to bribe people with lotteries, trips to the zoo and ice cream, it ain't rolling out the way it is planned. So there you go. I don't think it's as popular as they're letting on. So bear that in mind and take hope from that. And also, we're not helpless. Something else that Cliff mentioned, Cliff High has been a wonderful resource, and he said because the system is the problem, the government is completely overloaded. It's in a state of panic. Trust me, you may not see it from the outside, but it is in a state of panic because the government only operates within very narrow defined parameters. Even the inflation is causing havoc within the government because all of their tenders, like for example, the cost of the concrete cannot exceed 10% of the entire contract. Well, with crazy inflation going on and delivery shortages and so on and so forth, well, all of a sudden now, you might be paying 25% of the contract. Well, that contract won't go through. Okay, so one of the things that we can do is harry the government. Be a pest, be a thorn in their side. So, for example, I was stopped for speeding about 1.5 years ago now, and I pled not guilty, and because I hadn't heard Cliff's idea back then, but I pled not guilty because I wanted to get a reduction. You can negotiate with the Crown Attorney, get a reduction in your fine, and then I decided that I would basically plead not guilty and push it on to trial. Okay, so things like that, you can harry the government. Okay, so I've got a battery light going on here. I've got about 2 minutes, so I'm going to wish you a pleasant day from Houndog Steve. I'm going to sign off, and the next you'll hear from me is on the road heading to Marawa. Okay, take care, you have a great day, and do not lose hope. We are not helpless, and this situation is not hopeless. You take care now. See ya. Bye.